Welcome to the Traveling Professors. I'm Professor Bob.
And I'm Professor Sherry.
And together we are
the Traveling Professors.
Show number 41 today is all about Arles and its connection with Van Gogh. So Sherry and I will be taking you to the foundation of Van Gogh, and we'll take a tour of the inside of that building. And then we will also then follow the Van Gogh Walk. In other words, the tour of the city with the 10 sites associated with paintings that he did in Arles. So let's get started. Van Gogh painted 3 self-portraits of himself while he was in Arles. This is the very first one, and when we get to the end of the show, I'll show you his very last one. Now, on February the 20th, 1888, Vincent van Gogh arrived in Arles. Before that, he had lived in Paris for 2 years, where he had developed a thoroughly modern style of painting. Tired of the busy city life and the cold northern climate, Van Gogh headed south in search of a warmer weather, and above all to find bright light and colors of Provence, so as to further the modernization of his way of painting. According to his brother Theo, he went, quote, first to Arles to get his bearings, and then probably planned to go on to Marseille. That plan, however, changed, because Van Gogh found the beautiful countryside of Arles to be what he had been looking for, and he never went to Marseille. Now, when Van Gogh came to Arles, February of 1888, and he stays until May of 1889, he will paint 187 paintings and do approximately 100 and more drawings. So there's about 300 works of art that take place. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here and visit the Van Gogh Foundation, the museum and art exhibit. Then we're literally going to walk all over the city following the path that the walk of Van Gogh follows. So it'll kind of start in the middle at the restaurant and then literally go all around.
Hello, Traveling Professors here again. Professor Sherry, Professor Bob behind the camera. We're in Arles, France. And this is the foundation of Van Gogh. He used to do a lot of painting here and he's memorialized all over town. And now I know what to do with my garden posters.
Here is the exterior of the foundation. And it's a non-profit foundation located in Arles. It was dedicated to the work and legacy of Vincent van Gogh. Its goal is to generate and promote cultural and artistic activities with references to that of Vincent van Gogh as related to the time he spent in Arles, and the intention that Van Gogh expressed in establishing an international center of artistic creation and exchange in Arles. Now, it started in 1983. It was started by Yolande Carreau, a curator married to the photographer Lucien Carreau, the creation of the Foundation of Van Gogh, subsequently Foundation Van Gogh. In 1985, she proposed initiating a collection of works executed by contemporary artists in tribute to Van Gogh, and more than 90 artists were chosen to contribute to this homage to Vincent van Gogh at that time. In 2008, her original ambition was given over and given new momentum by Luc Hoffman, who established a permanent framework for activities designed to preserve the memory of Van Gogh in Arles and foster contemporary art. Now, this new foundation officially established in 2010 under the name of the Foundation Vincent van Gogh in Arles. One of the things that they do is they like to do displays of contemporary art and then put a Van Gogh painting in the middle of the artwork. It's a little unnerving initially, but it's to show modern contemporary art and Van Gogh's art, which was avant-garde for his time. So that's what we're going to see as we go through the museum. Most of what you're going to see is a collection of works provided by the artist Laura Owens. Now here's Laura Owens, American painter, born in 1970. She's a gallery owner and educator. She emerged in the late 1990s from the LA art scene, is known for large-scale paintings that combine a variety of art historical references. Now, over the years, she has done lots of solo exhibitions. From 2001 to 2018, there's something like 14 of them, including the Center of Georges Pompidou in Paris, the Session in Vienna, Dallas Museum of Art, Contemporary Museum of Contemporary Art in Los Angeles, and other places. In 2015, Owens made paintings based on World War II era newspaper stereotype plates she discovered underneath the shingle siding of her LA home. And she also does oil painting, screen prints, and she's also created art books. And you'll see all of this in the displays in the Foundation of Van Gogh. Now, I've read online where some people who have been to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, which is tremendous, are really kind of upset when they come here because there aren't a lot of works. Some of their collection periodically is loaned out, and then this avant-garde way of displaying them is a little unnerving. But just be aware of that. It's still quite an interesting exhibit. So you come in, we're on the first floor, and each of these various rooms have different types of wallpaper on them. So here's one where you have to look through them because there's a couple of little bunnies down in the lower corner. And then you have this whole wall wallpaper with the Van Gogh painting in the middle of it. So here's a little closer shot of the Van Gogh painting. Then here's another wall with a different style with another painting in it. And then you go into a room where it's nice wood paneling, parquet floor, a couple of more works of art, and then you walk out. Again, this one's pink, it has other types of art on it, and there's the painting in this rather stark surrounding. Owens likes to also do these edgings around the top. And then here she is again, and with some of her brushes and what have you. Here's a corner where one version of the wallpaper or painting comes into the corner and then moves to the other direction. And again, we have a painting in the middle of it. If you look very close at that wallpaper where the painting is, you'll see there's a little mouse peeking out. Then you move along a little bit further and you come into a room with just white walls, and there's Sherry standing next to, actually it's untitled, but obviously it's a white horse. And then as you come towards the end of this section, they have this nice little sitting area with books on Van Gogh and art and Owens, and there's children's books there as well. So there's things that you can do with your kids before you get to the steps or the elevator to go up to the next floor. On the second floor of the museum, the display area is pretty much what you see in most museum galleries. Nice white walls with one of the paintings. These are paintings that are done by Laura Owen. And then here we have some more paintings, and there's a close-up of the featured one on the wall. And then we go into another section, and we've got painting there, the little monster. Then you get into the section where she has the various art books, and some of those are three-dimensional where you open them up and something is created. So Sherry's looking at the different books because it did allow you to put your hands on them and look at them very carefully. And then here's one that kind of folds out, pops out. And then after wandering around looking at some other material there, including a whole section on edging for around the walls, we then go back down the stairs, and as you can see the painted wall here, and then we end up in our last stop, which of course is the gift shop, which has all kinds of really neat things for Van Gogh and modern art as well. Had a great comic book on the life of Vincent van Gogh, which was quite nice. So we then exit out, and now it's time to start the Van Gogh Walk. Well, here's our map of the Van Gogh Walk, and I'm going to follow the Van Gogh Walk. And it starts with number 1 at the Café Terrace. And of course, here's of the wonderful restaurant at the Place de Forum in Arles. And here's the painting. The little pylons that have the pictures and all of these sites are believed to be set at exactly the location that the painting was painted from. So here we see this painting, which, by the way, painted in 1888 in mid-September, the Café Terrace at night in Arles. When it was exhibited for the first time in 1891, the painting was entitled Coffee House in the Evening, Café Le Soir. Now this is the first painting in which Van Gogh used starry backgrounds. He went on to paint the star-filled skies in the Starry Night over the Rhone, which was painted the same month, and the better-known Starry Night a year later when Van Gogh painted when he was in the hospital. Now, one of the things about this, those aren't just stars stuck in place. They actually depict the actual location of those stars. If you did the star chart and checked everything, this is precisely painted on the 16th to the 17th of September, 1888, based upon the star position. Obviously, I've talked about this before in the last show. Wonderful place to eat. Here are some pictures of the rest of the restaurant. This has been a part of a lot of movies. For example, the 1956 film Lust for Life, starring Kirk Douglas. It's at the cafe with the painting. Vincent the Doctor, 2010. The 10th episode of the television series Doctor Who. and of course Loving Vincent in 2017, and the cafe is also featured in the film Rune in 1998. And the BBC series in 1980 considered this one of the 10 greatest paintings of all time. Our next stop on the tour of Van Gogh through Arles is l'Escalier du Pont de Trinquantille, which is the little bridge area. In other words, the steps going up the bridge of Trinquantille, which is right here. And here is the pylon showing the location where it was painted. And here is the actual painting. Now, he did a whole series of paintings from the top of the bridge and people in the area. I want you to particularly notice the little planting there, the little tree planting. Because this bridge today it's been removed and rebuilt. Here's an actual picture of what it looks like today. The only thing that's still there from the time of his painting is the tree. And then here's a picture that we took from the other side, and you can see the tree has grown very well in the years since it was planted. But again, that's an interesting little location. Now we're going to walk down the quay towards Van Gogh's house. That's the place that we're going to find painting of the Starry Night over the Rhone. Here is the view of the quay side, and this particular picture is very close to what you find in the painting. And then this picture shows a little bit more of the bridge. So here's the painting. Now I realized that when I said Starry Night, you probably thought of the other painting. This one is called The Starry Night Over the Rhone. It's approximately a 2-minute walk from the Yellow House, which Van Gogh was renting at the time. Painted the cafe terrace at night, the night sky was not the dominant feature. But with this painting, The Starry Night Over the Rhone, the night sky becomes more dominant. If you want to see this painting, you need to go to the Museum d'Orsay in Paris, because here it is on a wall. Actually, it's on a wall all by itself. Now, when we were there, I thought it might have been painted from the other side of the river, but it isn't. We just never found the little pylon that goes with it for the walk. And then, of course, here's what most people remember, the other starry sky. A few months after painting the one on the Rhone, Van Gogh was confined to a mental institution, and it's there that he painted This Starry Night, which in his distress was expressed in trees shaped like flames in the night sky and stars swirling in glorious colors. The fourth stop on the Van Gogh walk is the Maison Jaune, the Yellow House. This is the location where the pylon is. Here's the picture of the pylon in front of where the building used to be. I'll talk about what happened to it later. Nicer shot of the little building. And then here's the full painting. Now, he really liked this house. My house, quote, here is painted the yellow color of fresh butter, the shutters a garish green. It is bathed in sunlight and stands on a square with a garden of verdant plane trees, rose laurels and acacias. Inside I am able to live and breathe and contemplate and paint. In this picture, you see the doorway there. Then there is a window on the first floor, and that is the guest room. That's where Paul Gauguin stayed, visited Van Gogh for 9 weeks. But we're going to go on the inside of this particular house because his bedroom is very important. If you walked into Van Gogh's house, you would find bedroom number 2 at Place de Lamartine in Arles. The door to the right opened to the upper floor and the staircase. The door on the left was that of the guest room that Van Gogh had prepared for Gauguin. And the window in the front wall looked out on the Place Lamartine and its public gardens. Now, this room was not rectangular. It's actually trapezoidal, with an obtuse angle in the left-hand corner of the front wall and an acute angle at the right. When Van Gogh painted this, he entitled it simply The Bedroom, La Chambre à Coucher. But there are 3 versions of this painting. This first version was done during mid-October 1888. This first version has never left the estate. Since 1962, it has been in the possession of the Vincent van Gogh Foundation, established by Vincent Wilhelm van Gogh, the artist's nephew, and is on permanent loan to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. So here is the museum in Amsterdam. And when you go to visit, here is the original painting. There is the second version. Here's the second version. And this one was done in April of 1889. Van Gogh sent the initial version to his brother, regretting it had been damaged in the flood of the Rhone while he was interned at the old hospital. And his brother proposed to have it relined and sent back to him so he could copy it. This repetition on the original scale was done September 1889, and then both paintings were then sent to Theo. This is located in the Art Institute of Chicago. And then the final one, the third one, in the summer of 1889, Van Gogh decided to redo some of his best compositions in a smaller size. He used the term reduction. They were to be for his mother and his sister. The bedroom was among the subjects he chose. It was finished in late September 1889, but they're not exact copies. You really have to look at the floor and how it's colored. This third version is now at the Museum d'Orsay. In 2016, all three of these paintings were brought together in an exhibition entitled Van Gogh's Bedrooms at the Art Institute of Chicago. So what happened to his house? Here's a photograph of Van Gogh's house. You can see the door and the window and the second story. And then this is what happened to it. It was bombed during World War II, and it was so badly damaged that they decided not to rebuild it, which is why the pictures today show kind of an awning over the area where the whole house used to be, which is kind of sad. But you can get kind of a taste of it. If you go into Arles, you find this building, and it is called the Yellow House, Maison Jaune. It's a reconstruction, and you can actually spend the night there, because here is the bedroom that you can rent to sleep in it, and it's a relatively accurate reconstruction of the bedroom that he painted. So it's really kind of interesting. So if you're in Arles, give it a try. Our next stop is the arena, and here is the pylon, which shows the painting part pointing out towards the opening. It's a little difficult to do pointing it to the right direction, but then again, there's a good reason for this. Here's a shot of the arena as you would come to enter it today, and it would have been that way at the time of Van Gogh's. And here's a view of the arena where they would have done bullfighting, and there's different types of bullfighting. There's one where you just simply grab something from between the horns, which is generally done here. Nîmes is where they usually do a section that's very similar, where they do kill the bull. This was not painted on this location. Now, this painting was executed by Van Gogh between November and December of 1888, but bullfighting season that year started on Easter Sunday, April the 1st, and ended on October the 21st. So it's not done as he's watching it. However, Gauguin encouraged Van Gogh to work in a studio in this manner. Actually might not be a completed painting, because one thing you can always pick out of a Van Gogh is he used lots of medium. This one has a very thin application of paint, and there are also some bare patches of jute that show through in some places, so it may not have been actually finished at this point. And then here is the painting, a nice good close-up shot of it. Now, it's a matter of weeks after painting this canvas that Van Gogh cut off part of his ear. And there's all sorts of theories about this, but one of them is that in bullfights, or bull games as they're called in Arles, it did indeed make a deep impression on Van Gogh. In particular, one custom, and that was the custom of severing one ear of a defeated bull. The victorious matador would circle the arena, displaying this prize to the crowd before presenting it to a lady of his choice. Now we're kind of in the countryside on the map, at least at Van Gogh's time. Here is the picture of the site of the mill with the pylon in front of it, which of course it appears that someone is getting ready to put a building around the old mill. And then here is another shot of the mill prior to this construction taking place. Now, Van Gogh was fascinated with windmills. He painted them all the time. And particularly in France, he painted a whole series of them that were up on Montmartre at the time. And of course, he is from the Netherlands, so he has probably painted them there as well. But this is the mill, and it appears that it's soon going to be somebody's home. The seventh stop on the Van Gogh tour is the Arles camps. Now, they're a pair of paintings that were made by both Van Gogh and Gauguin shortly after Gauguin arrived in Arles. The painting portrays an ancient Roman cemetery, Les Arles Camp, or the Elysian Fields, which were located southeast of the Roman city walls. Through careful analysis, it appears the two men worked together between October the 28th and October the 31st, just before the heavy rains hit, forcing them indoors. This area had been taken over by railroads and factories, so there was just a tiny bit of the cemetery that was still left. And if you look at the painting, Les Allenkamps, you see the people strolling through the area, and you see the beautiful trees and the changing colors, but you do still see a line of sarcophagi. And this actually is known to the area as a lover's lane. That's why he has the women of Arles depicted here. So it's supposed to be a romantic stroll in the evening that's being represented, whereas Gauguin's painting is a little bit more stark on the death scene. The legend has it that Roland was buried here at one time, and of course Saint Trophine was also buried here before being moved into one of the churches. One of the paintings in 2003 sold for $11 million, even though it was supposed to bring between 12 and 18. But another one of the paintings of this style, on May 5th, 2015, sold for $66.3 million. Stop number 8 shows the famous park picture. So here is its location on our map, and here is the painting showing the direction in which it was painted. And he painted several canvases in this park. Here's another one of the canvases that he had done. And Sherry and I had actually been here as well. So here is our picture, and you can see it kind of fits in with everything else is there. So there we have these various park pictures. Now we have a sad stop on our little tour around Arles, and that is the hospital in Arles. This is the hospital that he went when he was there in the city before going to Saint-Remy. He did several paintings here. He did the garden of the hospital in Arles, which you'll see here in a minute, and also the ward of the hospital, and he painted a portrait of Dr. Felix Ray. So here's the location, and then here is the area where the garden is located today, and the painting, and then here is the entire painting. In December of 1888, after he cut off part of his ear, although most people claim that he cut his entire ear off, so you'll have to pick your own favorite there. He was sent into the hospital, and in January of 1889, he returned to his house. He spent the following month between hospital and home, suffering from hallucinations and delusions that he was being poisoned. Ultimately, in March of 1889, the police closed his house after a petition of 30 townspeople who called him the red-headed madman had finally gotten the police to do something. He wrote himself around this time that, quote, sometimes moods of indescribable anguish, sometimes moments when the veil of time and the fatality of circumstances seemed to be torn apart for an instant, end of quote. Finally, in May of 1889, he left Arles for the St. Paul Asylum at Saint-Rémy-de-Provence, having understood his own mental fragility and with a desire to leave Arles. Our final stop is the bridge at Arles with women washing, which is one of Van Gogh's most iconic and best-loved paintings. And there are several versions of this, and as you can see on the map, it's pretty far out and away from the regular part of the town. And here is a different painting. There are 3 different paintings with similar compositions. This one happens to show a woman with an umbrella going across it. There's one with a cart that goes across it, and then the most famous one is the one with the women on the other shore doing the washing of the clothing, which is one of Van Gogh's favorites. The bridge has been removed. It was destroyed in 1930 and replaced by another bridge, which was then blown up in 1944 when the Germans retreated. Another bridge that was similar to the original, known as the Foss Bridge, was dismantled in 1959 and intended to be relocated at the site of this Langlois Bridge. But because of structural difficulties, it was moved somewhere else. So you have another bridge that's put in that place eventually. And this is what the new bridge looks like, which, by the way, is known as Van Gogh's Bridge. Sherry and I hope you enjoyed our little walk through Arles and visiting the Van Gogh sites. Thank you very much. Sherry and I hope you enjoyed the tour. Please come by our YouTube channel at Bob Packett, and please subscribe and leave some comments. Thank you very much. I've been doing podcasting on history for over 15 years. I've got over 4,000 shows, and I've done CDs, which of course can be sent out as USBs. So if you would really like to get more on history for free, then come by my website, as you see here, historyaccordingtobob.com, and see what's there. So thank you very much again.